So good morning. Here we are, and it is March 20th, 2026, and it is the spring equinox, today and tomorrow, of course, and a lot has happened in the last 6 months since I have posted a video for my channel, Crystal Tales and Dragon Scales. And I'm happy to report that I have finished Book 5, Blue Flames Rising, in my Whitebird series. Yay! 10 years. It's been 10 years since I released my 4th book in the Whitebird series, Blue Crystal Mountains. And then, well, the world got really busy, and then my life got busy, and then the world shut down. My brain shut down. I went through some pretty deep transformations, inner work. I've been doing inner work my whole life, and I'll let you get a glimpse of the sunrise this morning, which is quite lovely. Yes, I know I'm sitting in the semi-dark because that's what I do in the mornings. I sit with my candles and I don't really meditate, but I don't know what's going on here with this. Don't really meditate, but I listen, and I think, and I plan, and I rest in the stillness of the morning. So we do live in some very interesting times right now. That is for sure. But I thought I would just come on and have a chat. Have a chat. How is everybody? How is your life? How is your world? If you feel so inclined, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like and share this video. And if you want to be notified of when I ever post a video, you can, of course, do that. Post, and then if you want to subscribe, it's easy enough. You just hit the little dragon icon down there in the corner. Boy, it's not easy for me just to jump right on and start chatting with you after so many months. But I've been let's say I've been quite, well, I was 10 years without writing. I'd written 4 books in a matter of 6 years, maybe 7. 2 of those books I'd really written at the beginning of the millennia, end of 90s, beginning of the 2000s. But as I state when I talk about me as the author, I was raising 2 beautiful daughters, and that was my main focus. These girls, they're now in their 30s, beautiful women, very proud of them. Through all their ups and downs, they've made choices, whether they're positive or negative, just like we all have. And our world is, I've made videos, the first dozen I made for my YouTube channel, all about the world and how we can navigate through it with these upheavals that seem to be happening on the world stage. And I've managed in my way to make a life for myself through hard work, dedication, persistence, where my winters are now my own, meaning I have a job which I cherish. I'm a gardener, and I oversee many gardens at a country club. I design them, I maintain them, I do various other work too with my team as far as the landscape maintenance. So I do have the winter time to basically rest and regroup and plan for the spring. And here it is. Spring has sprung. I live in the beautiful state of Minnesota, and we've had some pretty heavy snowfalls this winter, and I'm just tickled pink because it just replenishes all the river reservoirs, the containment systems, the lakes and the rivers and the creeks and the streams and the what have you. And it just makes for a healthier summer because we're going through fluctuations in our weather system. That is perfectly normal. Yes, it has been manipulated and affected by humans. There's no doubt about that. Our beautiful planet is quite different than it was a few thousand years back, before the industrial boom. But, a lot of that has made many humans' lives easier because of the warmth we are enjoying through the winter months and the ease of getting in a car and traveling across the country in a matter of hours or days, flying across the oceans. And this is because of the natural resources that Gaia has offered freely, not given to humans freely. We're paying for, really, in my opinion, something that should be our birthright free. But that's just not the way it's been designed in the past. And that's going to change. I really have a deep belief that this planet is under a benevolent watch. And yes, there are some very nefarious characters who are very loud and entitled and have been reaping the rewards of this beautiful planet for millions of years. And humans have basically, I'll say that I'll put us all in under one umbrella as humans. Yes, we've been in a hypnotic overlay. Yes, we've been manipulated and distorted. However, we've also allowed it. Because I, for one, don't like confrontation. I don't like an energy exchange of aggression. I'm not one to, I don't have a real, I'm not putting myself down. It's a character analysis. There are, I'll call them the truthers, the voices in our community who are very firm in their convictions. And they know a great deal, and I've learned a lot from them. I've been awake my whole life, meaning I know there's more to me than just my body. I have a rich, full spiritual life. I'm clairsentient. And I know things. I just do. Always have. Many of us do. If we're not clairvoyant or clairaudient or clairsentient, any of the clairs, then we are awake. However, there's layers of awakening. And I really woke up in 2023. I was awake really before that, because in the 1990s, I studied metaphysics, the New Age movement. I was all about it. I was right there with everyone, and I learned a lot about Earth and our systems and the galactics and Eden, our Earth's original name. Through the 90s, I raised my children, but I was very in touch with nature. My children grew up hugging trees, and we looked for fairies in the woods, and it was just my world. But in 2023, just a calling to really deep dive, explore my galactic heritage. And I did a lot of shadow work, a lot of inner child work. I say work because it took dedication and practice. And it really solidified my relationship with my spirit, my dragon self, my Andromedan lineage, and my inner child. And I have a very deep bond. So that's good. And at that time, I was not compelled at all to write in my story, my series, my Whitebird series. I felt no inspiration to begin. And I've made videos, started making videos because I do have a lot to say. I have a lot of information I've gathered over the years in my life, and I didn't really know what to do with it. And so my circle of friends is very small because I have a high frequency, and what that means is when I get into, you either really like me or you really don't like me. Let's just leave it at that. And it's nothing that I consciously project, but I don't put up with bullshit. I don't like shallow conversations. I've never been good at them. People will ask me a question about someone, and I just say, well, I don't know. I didn't ask. That's their story. If they want to share it with me, they will, but I'm not one to ask a lot of deep questions to someone, not unless we've established a relationship where it will enhance the energy between us. It's a give and take. And so I say that because I had a lot of information I felt like I needed to share. And that's why I made my videos, where I started to just talk about the nature of how I felt our world was going. Still trying to get used to this camera of mine. And over the holidays, my family came into town. My family, my siblings, they live around the country, and they came into town. And I always feel it's always tricky. I have a different worldview than my family, almost opposite. I see things, I've done my research, I'm a deep diver. I don't just take superficial information and leave it there. I ask the questions, I ask the big questions. And when you ask questions, you're going to get some answers that you might not have expected to get. And like I say, I'm clairsentient, so I know if it resonates solidly, and if it almost is like a deja vu, like, oh, of course, I know that, then I take that information and I put it in my, let's say, bank, and it's there. And what I've learned about the world as a whole in the last 3 years now is not something that my family will wish to discuss. So we'll leave it at that. And when my family was here over the holidays, subsequently, we all got sick. My brother and I went down the hardest. I went through a very, very interesting upgrade. At the time, I was very ill with the influenza A or B or O or whatever it was. And I had a very deep cough, and I wasn't sleeping as a result. And I also don't carry medicine in my house, meaning prescription Tylenol, ibuprofen. It's just not something I go to, so those bottles expire. And when I had coughed so hard, the muscles in my diaphragm right beneath my rib cage were so tender that when I coughed, it felt like there was a knife just jabbing into my body. It was quite horrible. So I took a Mucinex, which was given to me by my sister. My sister and my brother and I think my daughter were all taking the Mucinex, and they said it was working to calm their coughs. So I did. Well, I had a pretty bad reaction. Pretty bad reaction as far as tremors. My body went into full tremor mode, and I was wide awake for days. And I couldn't sleep because every time I tried to sleep, my body would just jerk. And it was very, not upsetting, but disturbing. I have always been one with this beautiful sleep pattern. But during this 5-day period, my cough was beginning to subside, but the tremors weren't. Not during the day, but only when I laid down. So the first night, yes, all night long my body is just jerking. So I was like, oh, it's a side effect from the Mucinex. But no, I mentioned I did go to the ER, which was a trip in itself. It was right in the middle of this influenza outbreak because of the pain in my stomach. And my stomach was just awful. So I just wanted to I don't usually run in, but if I do, it's for a reason. It's not just for chasing an illness, like that's what I say for getting all these tests and all these things done to see if I have some sort of disease. I don't chase that, but I go in when I feel it's need for a little medical support. And the doctor, when I mentioned the tremors from the Mucinex, and this gentleman was just one of those who was on the first lines, and he looked so tired. And first of all, I asked him if he was doing okay. He just nodded and said, "What's going on?" Bless his heart. So I told him, and then I mentioned the tremors with the Mucinex, and he kind of looked at me. And he's like, well, you know what, I know they can't really respond to something like that, but that's when it clicked. And I'd asked other people if they'd had a side effect from the Mucinex, and no one knew what I was talking about, especially like 3 nights later when I would put my head down on the pillow and try to sleep, and I'd get that jerk awake. Like when you're falling, there's a term for it, when you're finally getting into this sleep and all of a sudden your body just reacts and you wake up like you were falling off a cliff or something. that happened for 3 nights straight. And I finally realized, with the help of a friend, that my nervous system was in a full-blown upgrade, a reset, as well as my digestive system, which was just out of the box. I don't need to go there because it was something I really experienced. And I know that this is all part of I use the word upgrade because our bodies are going crystalline. And did you know that the very first, when the sperm meets the ovum in the woman's reproductive system, and then the egg forms, the very first system that's formed is the nervous system. And so many people on the planet, their nervous system is being quite affected, whether it's by light codes from the sun, whether it's by what's really happening around the world, in the inner worlds and the outer worlds. Our nervous systems need us to pay attention to them. And I learned a lot about me and my nervous system during this experience. This also kick-started my story. Something happened, something rearranged. I don't usually question this. I go with it. But all of a sudden, I knew where I wanted to take my book, my story, Blue Flames. I want to show you something. I don't know if you guys are into this, and I'm hoping I can show you. But do you see what's happening in our sky right here? Whether or not you saw the chemtrail, Minnesota has a lot of chemtrails. I know what chemtrails are. They're chemicals. I have to breathe because it really pushes a button in me because of the poisons. However, I'm not going to go there today. I'm going to trust that there are beings in our atmosphere who are now taking care of that. The virus that I experienced over the holidays and into the new year, it was right at the new year. My story blossomed back open, just blossomed. Characters were at the ready, and I completed the book. Book 5 is completed. I'm in the process now of getting it ready for publication. And also I'll be happy to share that Book 6 is halfway done. And so this was the reason I wanted to make a video this morning. And I know it wasn't in a perfect, I don't know even the word. I was touching the screen, I was moving it around, I was in darkness. I'm still in my pajamas, but I wanted to share with you all that Book 5, Blue Flames Rising, will be available mid-April. And I will post it on my website. I will put another video up the moment the book is available for purchase. And I wish you all a very, very beautiful day and happy spring equinox. Let's get ready for a real exciting spring. Namaste. And don't forget to play well together. Treat each other with love. If you see someone on the street, try to catch their eye and give them a smile. You do not know what is going on in their world, and you might just brighten their day. Bye-bye for now.